I'm Harvey, host of Franchising Brand Stories.
And I am Ryan White, Managing Director of We Love Pets and founder of Nova Bright.
Fantastic. And welcome to Franchising Brand Stories Season 3, brought to you by FranRec, specialist staff and executive recruiters to the UK franchise industry. This is the show, I'm going to do it, where we find out what's under the hat of some of the top brands in the UK. So, if you are a prospective franchisee, this show is for you. When you're looking at investing in a franchise, it's an important decision. And this show is all about revealing the story behind the brand, the characters behind the brand, stuff that you can't get from a brochure. So during the middle part of this show, we really encourage you to add your comments. We'll bring them up live and we will ask our lovely guest today all about those things. So the brand story we're going to hear today is We Love Pets. And we have the lovely Ryan White with us. Ryan, welcome to Franchising Brand Stories.
Well, thank you for having me on, Harvey.
You're very welcome. So we are going to start with Chapter 1. Now, Chapter 1 is all about where you're at right now. But perhaps we could start with you giving us a little synopsis about what is We Love Pets? What do you do as a business?
So We Love Pets, we're a multi-service pet care franchise company, obviously. Basically, if you have any pets, whatever it may be, from mouse to hamster, emu, even in some cases, dog, cats, and every other weird and wonderful, our franchisees and their staff will come in and carry out the best possible pet care that you require to carry on your everyday life.
Fantastic. A very valuable service because, of course, here in the UK and lots of other parts in the world, we love our pets, don't we? I mean, I have a cat that will probably join us at some point. We're going to introduce a few people that have already joined live today, but perhaps you could let people know where you are right now as a business in terms of number of franchisees and just where you're at now.
Right, so We Love Pets. We're the largest pet care franchise company in the UK. We have 122 franchisees, absolutely incredible franchisees that they are. And they cover 182 branches, 182 locations in the UK. We have worked out, obviously, this doesn't just stick in the back of my mind. I wish it did. But we currently have within our territories 19.3 million households that our franchisees and their staff cover. So a huge spread across the country, and that's where we are currently.
Wow, gosh, that's a huge number, isn't it? You know, you're obviously looking after a lot of wonderful furry friends, and not so furry. I don't want to exclude those cats that haven't got any fur.
Yeah, all those snakes.
Yeah, exactly.
All of us.
So which parts of the country, I mean, 19.3 million homes, is that spread right the way across the country, or, have you focused on particular regions?
No, I mean, we're as far east, we're the most easterly point in the country. We cover right up to Lowestoft, all the way over here. And then we have Tamar Valley. And then we've got Eastbourne, Haywards Heath, Burgess Hill, right up to the wonderful northwest, where we have obviously our Chorley crew and everyone dotted in and around there from Blackburn. We have them all over the country, right up to Newcastle. And then we've got our branches in Livingston and East Kilbride and Carron and Phil over in Northern Ireland as well. So we have them spread out. We got the Welsh guys as well. So if your pets need a cutch, as they call it, rather than a cuddle, there you are, a cutch. That's what they say. We've got all over the country, and obviously our journey, we want to bring the best welfare provider, across the country to cover all of it. Eventually, that's our objective.
No, love that. I love that. It's you've got to have a great passion when you're involved in a sector like this. In case you have just joined us, this is Franchising Brand Stories, brought to you by FranRec, specialist staff and executive recruiters for the UK franchise industry. And we are talking to Ryan White from We Love Pets. And we're just about to hear chapter 2. And chapter 2 is taking Ryan right back into the future, right back in time, to the beginning of the story, and to find out where We Love Pets formed and how it all begun. And this is really the part of the show that we really encourage you to get involved, ask your questions, because if you're a franchisee, again, if you're looking at, you're a passionate pet owner, or you're really wanting to get involved in this industry, then this is the time where you can listen and when you can ask questions that's really going to help your journey. So, as we get into chapter 2, Ryan, tell us, where did it all begin for We Love Pet?
Well, my wonderful, amazing wife, she started We Love Pets 16 years ago. I came to the party slightly later because little did I know I was in my world working with animals. I spent my whole adult life working with animals. My teacher once told me, stop dreaming about working with animals, you'll never make a living. I employed her, ironically, 11 years later.
Oh, really?
Funny moment. Yeah, it's hilarious.
I
And
love that. I
watching
love
this.
that.
Yeah, it was great. But in the meantime, We Love Pets was being started, more importantly. My wonderful wife, she was in her job, probably a little bit fed up, a bit, bored with the 9 to 5, the constraints that she was suffering, wanting to give a wonderful entrepreneurialism to a fantastic boss that didn't want to move off that path because they were focused on what they wanted to do. So she made a decision. She wanted pets all her life, and her parents, by hook or by crook, got her the odd pet now and again. I think her dad took her to Crufts, and that moment stayed with her for the rest of her life. And she started We Love Pets 16 years ago, and she grew it so rapidly. I mean, she's a tenacious woman. She's really, truly is. We hear that buzzword, that inspirational woman moment, but she really is that person. And she grew it, and she grew it with gusto, but she grew it with stability. And that's the biggest thing. Her foundations were solid. And she knew immediately that she wanted to franchise the business, to expand it, to grow it. But obviously, she didn't want to impact the welfare. The welfare was a huge thing for her. And in the other moment, I was working totally different, trying to combat dog walkers walking too many dogs. So when we finally met, and my boss at the time said to me, I've got a lady that wants someone to teach her franchisees how to look after pets properly, but also someone that knows the pet care sector. Would you like to help? I said, absolutely not. It's an area that I've wanted to abolish forevermore, because they throw 10 dogs in a van, take them out, stack them and rack them, and that's it. And she, oh, no, this one only walks up to 3 dogs. It was like love at first love at first sound. I thought, oh, yeah, I want to meet this lady. She wants to create a welfare-driven pet care company in in my, what I call the pet care sector, my very own desert island. I love it. I've been in it my whole life. And I thought, oh, wow, am I going to share this with somebody, or is she going to share with me something magical? And We Love Pets was there. And Joe had five franchisees, or 6 franchisees, incredible people that obviously wanted the same as what Joe wanted, but they just were in different areas. So guess what? We call it franchising, don't we? A standardized model, perfectly put together with wonderful systems, with passionate, enthusiastic people. It was like, oh, this is perfect. But now we need to train them. And then that's where I came into it. And Joe and I, obviously, we had a huge passion for very similar things. And that's where, obviously, 122 franchisees later, 2 children as well, a marriage, a few dogs, cat, snake, pigeons, chickens, goat, every other thing in our crazy world. That's where we are today.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. It's lovely to hear that that story of where it all began. I loved what you said there about your teacher saying what she said, and then that ran full circle to that teacher working with you.
Yeah.
What a brilliant story of turning around something and taking what could have been a doubt and what could have taken you in a different direction, but through your tenacity and your passion, it took you down that road. And that's got to be really inspiring for any young people watching. Love that.
Yeah, well, I mean, my wife is funny. We're so different, but yet we're so similar. When people say you can't do something, we're kind of already thinking and troubleshooting, thinking, yeah, we will. Not how can we? We've already done it in our head, and we now need a wonderful team, which we've got a head office to put that forward. So,
Absolutely.
well,
No, brilliant. Let's recognise a few people that are here, because it's great to have some people here live. We've got Simon Wise. Great to have you here, Simon. We've got Tim. We've got Tim Morris here. He's put evening all. This is a brand I really do love. Having used the service of one of the We Love Pets franchisees, it's an incredible service for pet owners. Fantastic. Thanks for your comment there, Tim. Julie's here as well. Great to have you, Julie. Great fan of what you do. We've got Tim again, and we'll put that question up later on. And we've got Danny. So it's lovely to have people here and commenting live. Please keep your comments coming in. And I'm gonna ask you now, Ryan, because you mentioned that you knew immediately that franchising was the way you were going to grow your business.
Yeah.
What was the reason for that? Why were you so focused on it? Well, I think that's not often the way, and I love the fact that you knew that it was the way to grow.
Well, it's quite funny, really, because I mean, I speak to Jo in a lot of detail because this was sort of her early journey, but it was ironically a journey that in my separate life I didn't consider franchising. When I went down a different route other than We Love Pets, when Jo was doing We Love Pets, she went down the franchising route and I didn't. And when Jo explained why she franchised to me, it was incredible. She wanted to deliver exactly the same style, the same standard of service across the country to support welfare and drive welfare standards in the pet care sector up. And she knew how she would do it. She didn't actually use a franchise consultant. I apologize to all consultants out there. My wife made a decision to actively talk to people that were proactive within franchising, not teaching people how to do it, but actually doing it. And it wasn't because consultants don't know what they were doing. Jo just wanted to approach people that were actively doing it in the time in which she wanted to do it, to ensure there was no overlap with things being a bit old school. She wanted to speak with those incredible people that could franchise. So she actually franchised the business without a consultant. She franchised the business by herself, but with the support of what I call the franchise family. We all know with the BFA, with everyone, I mean, Tim's on here now. I go to these networking events and it is one big family.
Yeah.
And I think that's incredible. And that's why she wanted to franchise. It was the importance of being able to open up other branches and ensuring that standards didn't slip. Welfare was still always going to be priority. And that's the message that we pass through to all of our franchisees. It is the most important thing in our business. Our ethos is welfare first.
Yeah, and so important. I'm a big animal lover, and I think most people are. Animals are so innocent and so full of love for everybody, and it's therefore so important for us to return that and to look after them, and to create a business and a franchise around that passion. And people have that when they have it in droves, and it's undetermined, isn't it? Undetermined, is that a word? I don't know. They're driven. They're focused. And yeah, I love that. I'm gonna ask you a question here, because again, if you're a franchisee and you're thinking about this as a business, we're just starting to gauge a picture of what the business is, and you're somebody who's sitting here thinking, I love animals and I want to do something where I work with animals and start a business. What skills and experience do potential franchisees need within your business?
Well, the wonderful thing about franchising, Harvey, as you know, you don't need to have 1,000 pieces of the jigsaw puzzle looking at that box thinking, is it upside down, back to front, or whatever way? Where do I start? We've already created a proven business model. The biggest attributes, and I always call it attributes because it's ultimately for me who bring the people in. I'm, as managing director, I see every single franchisee that joins. I look for tenacity, trust, resilience, all of those things that you need, in my opinion, in everyday life, but in bucket loads. I we require at We Love Pets people that have the understanding that they're not buying a dog walking job. We're not We Love Dog Walking. We Love Pets. They're buying into or investing into an incredible business model that's got such huge breadth, but you're going to have transferable skills with that. Now, those transferable skills could come from, we've had a lot of people in the teaching sector currently. They have the wonderful ability to spin multiple plates. We all know what the educational sector's like. I think they've got eight hands to spin 60 plates. I think what's important is people don't just bring their incredible transferable skills and get rid of them, and we just adopt this new, you will do and do as we tell you. No, we just nurture what needs to be nurtured, and we put on the shelf something that's not necessary. And I think the biggest thing for us is having that open mind and being agile. Just because you did something last year, if you're not agile within franchising or any business, the chances are, if you're rigid, most things that come under pressure that are rigid break, they snap.
Mm-hmm.
Now, something with a bit of flexibility, hey, they may bend. Look at a fishing rod; it might bend right over, but it will still take its form. And in my opinion, that's how all businesses should be. So anyone that's thinking of joining the franchise, they need to understand that it might be run like and operating like this today, but trust your franchisors. They want you to succeed as much as you do. We've got as much fire in our belly as anyone else. We could drink an ocean and it wouldn't disappear. Trust us. If we're going to make movements, we're doing it to be proactive, to keep ahead of the curve. So I think that's the biggest thing for me: trust, and resilience, tenacity, the ability to change and flex with our guidance. We're not your bosses. We're here to work together as a team. We Love Pets is a big family, and we all adore one another and we look out for each other. But the biggest thing is, we are taking new strides into ensuring that welfare is, always a priority. You've got to stand with us on that one.
Yeah, I love that. I love those values. People talk about values, but you clearly, really drive those values through and really believe them. You can see it as well. Tenacity is a fantastic value to have. Trust, resilience, flexibility. It doesn't matter from what walk of life that you come from, but if you've got a passion for animals and a set of values that are good for any person to have, then a model can be applied to that, a proven model, support, working together. I love that you said that you consider your franchisees and your colleagues to be a family.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you put those things together and it makes for a very enjoyable and successful business. We're going to bring up a comment here from Simon, because it's an interesting one. Again, as a franchisee, and you're looking at this and you're thinking, okay, well, look, I'm really liking the sound of this business, and I love animals, and it fits with my culture, with my values. And then you're thinking to yourself, well, look, I might make a call, make an inquiry. So what does that journey look like from the point you make an inquiry through to the point where you're opening your business? Not running the business, but that journey, that prospect journey up to the point where they become a franchisee.
So ultimately, regardless of what funnel you come down through to being a franchisee, you're going to touch base with predominantly two people, and that will be myself, so either Ryan White or Thea Sparks. So Thea is our relationship director, so she deals with a lot of the recruitment now alongside me. We're extremely busy, so one of us will reach out to you. We always have a phone call with you. We have had a lot of walkers over the last couple of years. They walk for our franchise and they've now bought their own franchise, and we've had a few customers come in that have bought their franchise because we've looked after their pets. But ultimately, you're going to see us somewhere, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, maybe this, wherever it might be, the BBC. any way that you've seen us, you might think, oh yeah, how do I get in touch? Well, fill in a form. You're going to get an email through. We'll acknowledge that. We're going to give you a call and we're going to have some chats. And you're going to think, is this just a chat with two really nice people? Hopefully you think that. And that's all it seems. And people say, well, you know, where's your crib sheet? When do you start ticking boxes? No, let's just have these conversations. Let's make sure that we, you know, that the hand has to fit the glove and the glove has to fit the hand. It doesn't work in a way, if you think you're going to just want to join We Love Pets and that's a given, it doesn't work like that. We need to build a relationship. And that's where these conversations happen, Harvey. We have Teams calls, Zoom calls, all sorts of calls you can have now, you know, but ultimately that's the start of the journey. And then what we do is when we get to a stage where we start looking at territories, that's when we give you the heads up. Look, we've been on the phone for 40 minutes. We think you're great. We think there's huge potential here. Let's start exploring a bit further. Who in your household, who do you live with? Or who would you like on the next call? Because let's start getting different perspectives. Before we do that and bring in people from either the household or family, distant friends, whoever it might be, go and speak to 3 other people within the pet care sector before our next call. Let's make sure you're looking at a bit of a balance, because there's lots of pet care franchise companies out there. Reach out and speak with them and engage with them to make sure that we're the right fit for you. Because ultimately, Harvey, last thing we want is to get the wrong people or the right people, but just for another brand. You know, there are lots of us out there. We're all about family. And then from that moment on, once we do all of our bits and bobs, you know, then the process starts. You know, you get your whole systems, those guys kick in and the application forms go out and all the agreements and all that boring stuff. And then people read the agreement and say, oh no, I thought this was all lovely and friendly. Yeah, that's why there's an agreement. We protect ourselves, and even more importantly, we protect you.
Of course.
That's what it's there for. But ultimately, that's as seamless as it is. You think, Harvey, we launched 20 new branches last year. We've already trained 14 this year, with another 6 in training this month. We repeatedly launched 20 branches, you know, and we probably find about the same aren't quite right. Not quite right as in they're not good people or they haven't got the tenacity. It just doesn't work. It could be so simple. We soon know between each parties whether this is going to be a good fit. And I think ultimately our franchisees trust that we will always try our hardest to bring a new family member in that will just fit in. Come to the party and enjoy it. Listen to the same sort of music, love the same sort of pets, and enjoy the same sort of business. That's our family.
Yeah, I love that. I like the fact that you encourage people in that prospect journey to have that conversation and then take a pause, talk to their other family members, bring them into the call, talk to other people in the pet care industry, talk to your peers and other people who do similar things, just to get those different perspectives. I liked what you said there about getting a different perspective. That's really important when you're making a tricky choice. You know, you're making a choice that's very important, you know, and you've got to make the right one.
Yeah.
It's interesting when you speak of tenacity and trust and resilience and flexibility. They're tricky ones, aren't they? To sort of get those tied off and boxed off. Do you sort of do it really through these conversations, and you just get a feel for it? You just get a feel for a person as to whether they're going to fit with your business. You know, is it as simple as that? You know, 2 people have got a good mind and a good eye for seeing who somebody is and to see whether they would work for your business. Is that pretty much how it works?
Yeah, ultimately, Harvey, it is that simple. I know it doesn't sound it, but whilst you're having these conversations, you can tell immediately whether someone has that proactive mindset. And I always say to people, if you're not coming in a 10 out of 10, trust me, a 9 out of 10 starts slipping to an 8 and a 7 pretty quick, and a 6 out of 10, hey, we're going to fall out during training because you've made an easy choice and not the right choice. An easy choice with our investment level is to join. We're the largest pet care franchise company in the UK. Our franchisees earn some seriously good money and have a great lifestyle. But ultimately, you have 2 choices, the right choice and the easy one. And I'm not going to let people join because they want an easy choice. because that can't happen, because that's not necessarily the right choice. And I think by default, as you said, Harvey, in those engaging conversations, and Thea and I are both really super personable and ultra transparent, you know, might as well be two pieces of cling film walking down the streets. Although you wouldn't want that, you know, I do stay clothed. Yeah, that's that joke, isn't it? You can clearly see I'm nuts. Yeah, moving on swiftly. But we're transparent and we build relationships, and that's how it should be. It's too stuffy when you're sat at a desk saying, do you tick this box, tick that box?
Oh yeah, no one wants a death by PowerPoint, do they? When they're looking at what business they're passionate about, what business they're interested in, and what's going to be right for them. We got a couple of good questions coming here from Tim and from Simon. Let's have a look at. We better take turns here. Let's have a quick look at Tim's, and then we'll look at Simon's afterwards. So Tim's put, is the We Love Pets an owner operator model, or can it develop into a management franchise opportunity? It's a good question.
Perfect question. Tim, Carl, does anyone get a trophy for asking one of the best questions, or is that
maybe I might do one? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, there we go. So We Love Pets, we are very, very unique. We would like to think that our business model itself best suits a management style franchise. So we would like to think that the best thing for you to do when you come in to facilitate the demand, it's the most demanding industry currently in the UK, I'm sure of it. I'm not biased at all. It is busy. We would like to think when you get going, we teach you a lot about recruitment, and we recruit in the right way. We recruit with good contracts and really stable understanding of ethos and welfare within our staffing. You know, everyone gets paid where they should be and all of this. I think we encourage that from day one. Become a management franchise, but that is not leaving out those guys that just want to operate a business it from a lifestyle perspective. We look at territory sizes and everything else. If you want to come in, Harvey, and become a lifestyler, and you want to achieve, you know, £3,000-4,000 turnover a month to give yourself a good living, then hey, let's do it under the We Love Pets banner, where we know welfare is going to be supported, you're going to be backed, and everything's going to be covered. Or on a flip side, let's get that territory primed to achieve, you know, our largest franchisees achieve up to £28,000 every single month, you know, turnover. They recruit a good team of people. So that's a really good one there, Tim. It's a blend of the two. You tell me what you need to earn and what is more important. We all know time is the highest currency. If you're coming in because you've been burnt out and you actually just want a good lifestyle, hey, tell me that at the beginning. I'll give you as many hours as you need, but also enough to pay the bills. If you come in and say, I've been suppressed by employment for far too long, I want to reach the heights of this. Hey, so long as we don't compromise on welfare, let's go for it. But we'll do it strategically. I'm not going to let you run away with it. Our operations director, he wouldn't allow it. We'll go carefully. We'll build strong foundations. And ultimately, when we finish our 5-year agreement and we sign for another 5 years, that's going to be your 5 years of absolute incredible things. I mean, we all get there before, but let's face it, an agreement is for 5 years. And I like to think our franchisees will go another 5.
Yeah.
Build a house of cards to blow down tomorrow. We're building a future.
No, absolutely fantastic. Let's put up a question here from Simon. I like this question. I'm always keen to help people picture what this is going to be like, understand what the business is going to be like. And this is a great question for somebody who's watching, that's looking at investing in a franchise, and in their mind they're trying to think, well, what would it look like? I've been through this franchise prospect journey. I've made my decision. You know, we align on our values, and it's day one, or it's a typical day. Let's say it's a typical day. You've been through the training, you know what you're doing. What does a day in the life of a franchisee for We Love Pets look like?
Blimey, here we go. What time did you say we've got till? We've got all walks of life, Harvey. Let's face it. In our network, we have single mums, we have single fathers, we have, you know, we have couples, we have everyone in our network, you know, incredible, awesome people. The first thing that I hear is, I'm not hitting snooze over and over again. And I think a lot of people are shocked. The first thing they see in the mirror is a smile rather than tears and pulling your hair out knowing you've got to go to work. The first thing people do when they get up is they sort out their priority. And what is wonderful for me is when that priority is their children that before they haven't been able to sort out because they've been going to their 9 to 5 job. So it might be getting the family ready, the kids ready. But we always say over on our We Love Pets business Instagram account, we do franchisee takeovers. So you can see our franchisees and doing what they do in their everyday life.
Okay.
And that's really, really popular. And we've got it on our YouTube channel as well. But ultimately, I would say most of our franchisees, they get up, they check their schedules for the day, they ensure the staff have got the right keys in the right places, and ultimately they deal with their inquiries. But what they do, Harvey, they have, like I say, that blended lifestyle. Whatever is a priority in that franchisee's time in that morning gets done. And it's very rare that you can jump on a priority straight away. Ordinarily, priorities are pushed to one side, which causes us stress and disbelief that we live in a world that's bossed by everyone else. And I suppose that's the biggest thing for me. You say, what's a typical life of a franchisee? And I think is prioritizing what's important for them every day. And that can be different. But I think that freedom, to have that freedom in this world at this moment in time, I think that's probably the most enjoyable thing for them. But ultimately, you're going to have a blender managing a team, going and walking some dogs, going to see some cats, go and pet an emu, see some geese, ducks, chickens, alpacas, cockatiels, frogs. Oh, we've had it all. Like, honestly, all creatures great and small, we have had it all.
Fantastic. I love that. I love what you said there, that you want to get people to, and I think this is a powerful statement and something that will resonate with people, that when they look in the mirror, the first thing you want them to see is a smile. And that is, as I say, I think that's pretty powerful, because whatever your walk of life, whatever the reason that you've chosen to become a franchisee of any business, like you say, it's your job to try and find out what that reasoning is, what that work-life balance looks like, what that passion looks like, and what life somebody wants. What is their typical day? What do they want that to look like? And I also love this. The word you used was freedom and priorities.
Yeah.
And you're right. We do sometimes, as busy people, know we have priorities, but they just get shuffled aside because we haven't got the time to get them in order. But when you come to a franchise business, you don't have to. You've already got the model. You don't have to think about that element of the business. You've been given that as part of the process, and therefore you can work on your business and have that freedom to prioritize other elements and areas of your life that are really important. Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, you've got a car that's been provided to you. It's been checked. It's been health checked. It's economical. It's smooth. It looks good. It's the Rolls Royce of the pet care sector. And then what? It's got no petrol. Come on. You got to make sure you're charged. You got to make sure that you, in your own right, are able to drive this fantastic machine around and where it needs to be. And that's why welfare is so important to us, not just with pets, but with people. You need to be able to prioritize your life to make you sing with the most loud, beautiful voice. You can't just stay quiet for the rest of it. And I think that's the biggest thing. It is freedom. That's what we need.
Definitely. Completely agree. If you have just joined us today, this is Franchising Brand Stories, brought to you by FRANREC, specialist staff and executive recruiter to the UK franchise industry. And today we're talking to Ryan White from We Love Pets. And we have heard the beginning of a fantastic story. If you'd like to catch the rest of this episode, screen grab or scan the QR code that's on the screen right now, and that will take you to the full episode. So let's have a look and see if we've got another question coming in. Actually, before we do that, we looked there at what a typical day was, and we talked there about welfare of animals. So is it that you have, who are your typical clients? Is it a franchisee perhaps going to see someone who's got a dog, maybe they need that dog looking after during the day while they're at work, feeding, nice walks, or they've got a cat or something else? Is that what the service is, to clarify?
Well, yes, it is, Harvey. I mean, ultimately, the thing about We Love Pets, there's so many dog walkers out there and pet care providers, but the idea is with We Love Pets, we have a head office team headed up by professionals and experts. As an example, the managing director, me, I call the pet care sector my very own desert island. It's mine, literally. I look a bit like Tom Hanks in Castaway, admittedly, sometimes, but it is. And I think with those expertise, and Jo, the founder, she has a first class honours degree in animal science. We have some incredible people that have a wealth of knowledge. With a We Love Pets franchisee, with their expertise, the client will tell us what they want for their pet. We will then nod and say, marvelous. Now we'll let you know what your pet needs. There's a difference to what you want and what your pet needs. People still have this belief, Harvey, and me as a canine specialist, it pains me. People still believe that dogs should be put in these doggy daycare facilities that have large, copious amounts of dogs chucked in an environment and just watched and supervised by 4 or 5 staff. Ultimately, they're there to split up fights as they break out throughout the day. And I'm there as an expert looking at behaviors thinking, oh my word, if your dog started to go to doggy daycare and it started being reactive on a lead, that's not excitement. That's insecurity. It's fear. And what We Love Pets want to do is we want to instill this whole modern education to pet owners, explaining dogs don't require constant attention. If they have constant attention, they suffer with separation anxiety. So please allow us to come, once in the day to give it a lovely hour walk with, 2 or 3 buddies that are selected specifically by behavior and breed traits, not just thrown together because it's convenient to make a quick buck. And I think when customers start realizing most dogs should sleep 18 hours a day, and trust me, living in my house with 2 children, my dogs have to go outside to get a bit of peace and quiet. I do. 18 hours a day is required. And when people say, I can't leave my dog on its own, the biggest journey is in that moment, understanding what you've just said. You can't leave your dog on your own. Then guess what, guys? You need to leave your dog on its own because it isn't happy. It's suffering with separation anxiety. And we need to be able to understand how we can break that and combat that. And that would be, in that instance, 3 short visits. So we would pop in 3 times a day throughout that 8-hour period where the dog would start to understand, oh, they do go out, but they do come back, rather than a doggy daycare facility. Now, a lot of companies would turn up and say, oh, yeah, we'll just do that because that's what you want. We're going to turn up and say, we understand that's what you want, but do you want to know what's best for your pet? And I think people now they're coming on this journey with us where We Love Pets are not just a pet care provider, we're educators. As I said before, we own a company called Nova Bright where you can get online courses on how to appropriately look after your pet and support your business. We support other pet care businesses with Nova Bright. Our franchisees all have CPD. People say CPD, what? Further development in what? Looking after pets? Who needs to know about pets? You just love them. Yeah, well, we all do that, but you also need to understand that they're an animal, and dogs are probably one of the most technically consuming animal there is. You need to understand them. They're challenging.
Definitely.
And that's what we're about.
Absolutely. What I will say is you mentioned a couple of things there. What we will do is we'll put in the show notes links to Nova Bright, your educational facility, also links to your perhaps to your Instagram pages where you show what a life a
Yeah.
day in the life of a franchisee looks like. So if you're looking at this part of the show, we'll put some links in the show notes in the comments. So please check those out. I want to ask you a question. You've got a large number of franchisees. You've been in business for a long time. In that time, you must have seen some real life-changing stories of people coming into your business, starting this new life. You've listened to what they want. I'm sure there are lots, but are there any that stick out in your mind?
Yeah, I think so. And I think, when you really dig deep and when you meet people and they've been in the employment sector, in that world that we leave school and are told to go into, I've seen a lot of people suffering from burnout and, just simply being overworked, overstretched in certain instances where people have come to We Love Pets and they're beaten. Harvey, you've just met them and they're in tears. And you look at them and think, God, is this really what employment can do to people as adults? And I think the biggest thing for me, and we've got the franchisee and they're still in situ, He's a lovely chap, and I don't need to mention any names, but for me, it was a big thing. He was bullied at work. Well, what, at 44 years old, bullied? What's wrong with him? You know, that would be the old school mentality. He was actually bullied to a point, Harvey, where he couldn't cope with his life anymore. And I remember meeting him and his wife, and I looked at this guy, and he was just, he'd lost everything. He'd lost everything about himself. And he laughed at a joke of mine. I wrote that in the diary. It was probably the first time anyone's actually laughed, but he laughed and he stopped and he paused, and his wife looked at him, and she said, "That's the first time I've seen you laugh in years."
Oh.
And it resonated. It made me, you know, it made me feel really sad. And at that moment, Harvey, I really wanted to ensure that I wanted him to invest in the franchise. I wanted to protect him. And as a leader of this company, all our franchisees will say I'm very protective. He joined, he's been with us 7 years now. And every month it's funny, he gets in touch and he says, "Oh, you know, have you seen I've got five-star review?" I say, "I saw it before you saw it. I knew it was going to happen because you're providing the best possible pet care service you could ever do." And him and his wife operate, and they work a real tight ship. And he said to me about 2 years ago, he phoned me and he had a bit of this sort of funny wobble to his voice. And I thought, "Oh, what's going on?" He said, "Ryan, I've seen the figures of the new franchisees joining. Um, they're hitting they're hitting things and just grow, and you know, they're overtaking me in every way, shape, and form." I said, "Overtaking who?" He said, "Well, just how much they're earning and achieving." Well, who put this? It's not competition here. Are you still happy in your life, in your branch, in your We Love Pets business? Yeah, of course I am. But I'm worried. Are you happy with me? Am I happy with you? Let's work it out. You honor and respect this brand. You do everything you possibly can to carry out the best welfare driven pet care service in your area. You're happy. And am I happy with you? What am I going to say here? I'm ecstatic. I hope you sign for another 5 years, and I'll have you for 5 more after that. And for me, I had a painful moment where I started to wonder whether some of the franchisees that were the lifestylers are getting caught out by the management style. So we had a bit of a message go round and explaining that anyone that wears this with pride and passion and respect and honor and follow our protective policies and restrictions that ensure that it's welfare driven, anybody that wears this with as much pride as my team at HQ and my children even, you're welcome and you can stay for as long as you need. It's not a competition. We Love Pets is about honoring your own ethos and the culture within our family. We're all going to be slightly different in certain avenues. And I think the biggest thing for us is it showed that we have the ability to support lifestylers to achieve something they want to achieve, which is, again, the highest currency, their time. But and then the management style that really want to grab the industry by its horns and go full pelt. And that is probably the most life-changing for me. You had a man that contemplated his own life as an adult, whether he wanted to continue living because he was bullied by other human beings. And I believe that We Love Pets put our big arms around that family and supported them and gave them that courage and developed them into who they really are. We didn't develop them into something we wanted. We embraced them and let them be who they wanted. And that
I love that. Again, another powerful image. When you said there that his wife said that he smiled for the first time in years, right? There must have been just a release. You know, he's looking, he hasn't got there yet, but he's looking at this new path. He can see, he can see what his life is going to look like. And there must have just been that release. And that's what, he was able to smile again. And that is, that summarizes a life-changing story in one little moment, just a smile. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
We are starting to draw towards the conclusion of the main part of the day's story, but I think I'm going to end, and we've had so many fantastic questions that have come in, and I've loved hearing your story, Ryan, but let's have a look at this one here. Challenges, they come up all the time in business, and they come up all the time in a franchise business. You obviously have a great team that supports your franchisees. How do you help your franchisees overcome a challenge? Have you got an example of someone who's had, you know, a bit of a difficult time and you've picked them up and, you know, or some other franchisees have helped them through a difficult time?
Yeah, I would like to see. I mean, I'm very fortunate that we're at a time at head office where we have a fantastic team of people. You know, our head office team, we will be by January 10 strong full-time staff, along with part-time staff as well. And 7 of those consist of senior level staff, and 3 of those consist of phenomenal, brilliant staff. You know, and when I say senior staff, I'm not saying that the others are junior. What I'm saying is they've come at that director level. They've come at that level where we need to work as a team together. I am proud of every single person at our head office team, but I'm also proud of the franchisees and the way we come across our challenges. We have an environment where people can ask questions and we do a lot of peer-to-peer support. But ultimately, Harvey, it's like everything in life. Challenges are like going to the gym, there to exercise us, to make us stronger. You know, nobody likes going to the gym and getting on the weights and doing that, but we all ultimately know that if we do it consecutively, we're going to grow and we're going to be stronger than we were before. And that's no different to challenges. That is exactly what we're doing. Every time we come across stress and pressure and challenges and difficulties, we look at it like the gym of life. We're going to succeed. We're going to get stronger. We're going to go through it. But sometimes people need a spotter. They need someone to hold those weights and to help them lift them. And then when they start to build and deliver and appreciate the courage and power they have inside of them, then they can come across and they can resolve those challenges. But ultimately, the support we have at head office with our team and the peers, that's the challenges they come across. The biggest challenge is always in the mind. It is the biggest thing in life in general. It's those mindset, those changes, the transformation of being an employee or self-employed to being a business owner. You
Yeah.
know, when I say it with gusto. You can't be a business owner if you're going to have the mentality of an employee, because guess what? Your business is always going to be the boss, and your boss is always going to suppress you and dominate you and tell you what
Mhm.
you're going to do.
Mhm.
You have to be strong and you have to be confident as a business owner. And it takes a little bit of time to have that, you know, so you need a team of people around you to ensure that you're going down the right path. And I think that's our biggest challenge is transformation from employee to business owner. But hey, we've got 122 people that I could argue are the best business owners in the United Kingdom right now. And that's all so it shows that we're doing something right. Do they have challenges? Yeah, every single day. Do
Yeah.
they see them as challenges or exercise? They see it as exercise. So we just exercise and work through it. And that's ultimately what we have to do. Get the mind right.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you can overcome many, many challenges.
Exactly.
Well, look, if you have just joined us, we have now come to the end of the story behind We Love Pets. And this is Franchising Brand Stories, brought to you by FranRec, specialist staff and executive recruiters to the UK franchise industry. And we have been talking today and we've heard the story of We Love Pets from the wonderful Ryan White. And we are now coming towards the end, and we're going to get into chapter 3 now. Chapter 3 is where you give us the Franchising Brand Stories exclusive, of course. So what we want
Yeah.
to know now is what's happening in the future. What exciting things are coming up that no one else knows about that you can tell us and, you know, prospective franchisees all about. So they've got all these exciting things they're looking at in the future.
Well, here we are. So, Harvey, we live in a world, although it's pet related, we live in a world where we know digital transformation is taking the world by storm. You know, we see that by your wonderful creations through AI every single day on LinkedIn. Yeah, I got it for you. Ultimately, We Love Pets have been looking for a solution for their scheduling for many, many years. And we were in a process over the last 2 years now of creating a solution for our franchisees. And it is an application or a system in which that will revolutionize their lives. It won't be something that as other companies have, because we are doing what we do typically. We are building something and creating it. We have an incredible person at the helm of that. You know, Matt Addis, he is our developer, senior developer. He's an incredible person. And our operations director, Matt Davey, he is leading on that. And he is ensuring that it's a project that's being managed to absolute inch of its life. had a few hiccups at the beginning of it, like you typically do, but that's a huge exclusive. We are now in a world where We Love Pets will be revolutionized. The systems, the scheduling, right, looking at the data and analyzing it, and franchisees will have their finances at a fingertip. Not just that, they're looking at staff utilization to make sure they're not being used too frequently and getting, you know, exhausted. And it's going to give us the whole picture of We Love Pets in a box.
Love it.
From a digital transformation perspective, for us, that's huge. And what is exciting is, you know, we are going to be seeing a chief CTO in the business in April. That's a bit of an exclusive. And we also have a success manager joining us, who we have been looking at for a long time, but they've been in position, but they have agreed to join us today. So in November, franchisees, and this is an exclusive, they will be seeing a success manager that is going to be up and down the country to help support those branches that want to grow. As Tim asked the question, the management style franchises will have direct access to a success manager. So that's an exciting thing also.
That's fantastic. Well, look, there we go. There's some exclusives for you. And I wish everybody all of the success they possibly can have, especially with a new success manager. Before we finish off the day and talk about what's happening next week, I just wanted to give you, Ryan, one more chance to give people some sort of final thoughts, as it were, on the business, and just sort of leaves people that are watching with your final thoughts. That would be great.
Harvey, I think in these moments, I'm the worst person. If you would have said, right, sell the business, I would have said, look, I'll have to decline.
No, I didn't say
that. Exactly. I think the biggest thing for me is explaining to people that if you are in a current position where you want to change your life and do something slightly different, then obviously we're here and happy to facilitate that journey if it's something that fits. The pet care sector is in full demand. It is absolutely chomping at the bit for, you know, expansion across the UK. We're here. We have a proven model for the last 16 years. And if you want to enjoy your life and be surrounded by pets, but ultimately also have the ability to pay your bills, then you need to be thinking of getting in touch with us and changing, making the right choice and not the easy choice. We know the easy choice is stay in your salaried position, your 9 to 5s, but hey, don't moan about it on a Friday.
There you go.
So there you are. Yeah, give us a
great. Yeah, great finishing words. Make the right choice, not the easy choice.
There we are.
Finish there. Okay, so I'd like to thank everybody, first of all, that has been here live today, everybody who's watching this in the future. I'd like to thank you, Ryan, for your time today. It's been a fantastic conversation. So next week on our sister show, on the franchise show, we are discussing franchising in Australia with the one and only Doug Downer, the franchise guy. So that's going to be fantastic to have Doug on the show, and fascinating to hear all about what it takes to franchise on the other world. Now, next week on Franchising Brand Stories, we're going for a little bit different. We've got a different time. So we're going to be at 12:15 next week. We've had a few people ask us to experiment with a different time for the show. So we listened. So next week, join us for Franchising Brand Stories at 12:15 GMT. And we are going to be finding out what's under the hat of Tappy Toes with the fantastic Claire Monday. So I hope you can join us for another Franchising Brand Story. And until then, cheerio, my friends. Goodbye.